Evening. How are you?
Good evening. Good evening, Brian. Brian, could you lower your webcam a bit? We are a bit. Thank you.
I've got a bit of a setup with the computer as well, so I've kind of limited to
Oh,
change.
Fantastic. How was Bulgaria?
Yeah, really good. So went over to Varna for
Yes.
an SEO conference, affiliate conference. So I was over there for a week. So it was by the beach. It was pretty cool. Did the conference, met some cool people. Kaylin, who's from SEO Domains, was there. So spent some time with him and his team. I mean, he's doing crazy things on SEO and drop catching. I think he's got 220,000 domains. So,
oh God, that's mental.
He's drop catching in 60 countries. So everything SEO wise, he's the person who knows everything. So in the UK, people are a bit more conservative over their SEO tactics, but globally, big companies are kind of using blog networks and various bits and bobs. So yeah, no, it was an amazing experience in Varna. And then I flew to Sofia for a week.
The capital, yes.
Capital. So I stayed there for a week with some meetings, and Kaylin's also got an office there. So yeah, it was really good. Lots of really good meetings, massive insight into drop catching and SEO domains. So yeah, really good experience. And obviously I've traveled a fair bit this year. So yeah, no, really good experience. We climbed a mountain. One night. That was pretty cool with his team. And then, so we drove half up the mountain and then basically kind of climbed in the dark. So I turn up, there's 10 people from his team. They've all got headlights on. They obviously do this quite often. So we rock up, we climb 40 minutes up this kind of ascent, and then there's a clearance. You can it has a view over the whole of Sofia.
Yes.
And they had a little picnic and stuff. So that was an amazing experience. And then ate loads of nice food, and now I'm back in the UK.
Are back. Did you sell any, or did you buy any domains names there?
Not in Sofia, but we have bought around about 300 domains last month. And then yesterday we did a bit of a portfolio sale, 90 domains for 38,000. So that yesterday was a good day.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah. So yesterday was a good day. This could be a really good month for us as a whole. The kind of results from outbounding and stuff are coming in. And some of these deals take a couple of months to kind of filter through. So this could be a really good month for us. Fingers crossed. Yeah, we'll see. And I remember a couple of months ago, we talked about domain loans.
Yes.
We said we issued our first, well, we've done 2 loans now, but the first one completes next week. So we should get repaid next week. That would be a big step forward, because what we're trying to do is work with banks and institutions, but no one's really proven the theory of how you value a domain, what the cost should be involved, how you secure it legally.
Yes.
And so next week, that's good. It's a good case study for us for later in the year. So yeah, it's been a busy few weeks.
What is the domain name?
What do you mean for lending?
Yes.
We have oxygen.uk
okay.
for lending. We're kind of moving a few things around, but it's kind of by introduction at the moment. But that worked out really well, because one of the domains sold or is about to complete for $150,000. So by using finance, they were able to buy themselves some time, and that's why with the rates and stuff, they are what they are. So yeah, so it's been a really busy week. And then obviously Brandable, we're kind of completed the front end design. The architecture's been done. So we've got Stripe integration. So we're on course to launch for the London Domain Summit. That's been a lot of work. So fingers crossed we will launch.
Awesome.
So so yeah, we have a varied couple of weeks.
Very good. Next week I'm having a meeting at Parliament about possibilities who will open the London Domain Summit for us. Basically, I want to ensure somebody from the top tier, from the top tier, will come and will welcome international IT business. This is IT business, and the domain name industry is saying, hey, come to London, come to the UK, do business. The laws are more and more relaxed here, as it is. We welcome international business to work and to do business in the UK.
I think it's one of the biggest growths I've experienced this year is going out to events, going to Bulgaria. I've been to Las Vegas. I went to Texas
Yes.
for names. I went to the Nordic Domain Days in Sweden. I went to Coventry to meet the Site Finders guys who have a large UK portfolio. Next week I'm in Yorkshire, but the key thing is with it being on your doorstep, if you are a UK domainer, this is the event to come and meet people. And generally there's quite a lot of business that happens, and it's really good to meet people face to face. It breaks through a lot of boundaries. And obviously now that COVID's kind of out of the way, there's such a good opportunity for people to reconnect that hasn't been possible for several years.
Absolutely. And plus, everybody who's coming are there for business. I've had several offers to pay people to fly them over. Ryan knows, and well, thank you for your kind offers. But if you're not looking for business in the domain name industry, why should I pay for your entertainment? No.
Yeah.
And yes, and today we started crazy marketing campaign with DN Forum.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's
Yes.
really good to get all those emails out. It's really hard to mass email. It's such a complex thing, quite costly. So yeah, that's really amazing. And the opportunity for advertisers to be on put it in front of 550,000, 63,000 domainers. Incredible.
Well, this one is we are sending it to everybody. Opt in or opt out. There will be some people who will be unhappy, but I truly believe that if you are in a domain name forum, in your best interests, it is to attend a domain name convention. If you are there for business, come and do business, and plus the tickets are free. There is limited amount, of course, of free tickets, but yes. So
I mean, one of the biggest things is that a lot happens in America. You've got NamesCon, you've got the ICA, you've got like predominantly American based. This is a great opportunity to put the UK at the forefront of what's happening. And as you mentioned earlier, is one of the best places to live. It's very relaxed rules. There's quite a coherent tax system. There's, no matter what your religion, sexuality, anything, the UK is kind of the place to be.
Absolutely. And the revenue service, like 4 years ago or something, 4 or 5 years ago, the UK's revenue service got an award. And there was vote for that, public vote for that, for the most friendly customer support. By the way, the revenue service. If Americans are watching, they must be, what are they saying? Okay, so let us kick in. Hello, and thank you for Ryan. It is great to see that we have structured live streams coming back about the domain names and how to do processes. So today we are talking about domain name outbounding, and scopes will be taken and given to us by Ryan, and there will be 3 sections. Is that correct? Yes. Ryan.
Yeah.
The first one is getting prepared. The second one is process and tools. And the third one is closing. So negotiation and closing. And just to start with, Ryan, when did you start professionally trading or brokering domain names?
So I sold my first domain name in 2008.
Yes.
Pizza, the number 2go.co.uk on Cedo for £300.
Yes.
I then worked in a finance company with my family, my 2 brothers. And what happened was my job was to make the phone ring, and my brother's job was to answer it and do it. So I built 500 websites. I stumbled across so better SEO, lower cost of advertising, memorable. And then it kind of, when COVID happened, I bought and sold a few domains, and then January last year I went full-time.
Okay, so a professional sales guy, and what is approximately total amount of domain names you have sold in financial numbers?
Probably, so last year was my first year. The turnover was 950,000. That was my first year. We probably sold about, I'm not sure because we did some portfolio sales for clients, maybe 10,000 domains. We've outbounded several thousand domains. And this year we'll probably do, in terms of sales, maybe 5 to 10 million on domain sales.
So, boys and girls, ladies and gents, this is a chance to listen how a professional salesman, sales guy, sells his and domains of his clients. So what can we start with? Thank you, Ryan.
Okay. I was going to just do a leak on Brandable, the new website that's going to go live. So this is so the front end's all done. We're working on the back end processes, but essentially this is the kind of look and feel we've got, incorporating the nominate logo, things like paired domains, which is specific for the UK.
Yes.
So we've got 16 pages of search functions, listings, all this kind of thing. But this is a bit of a little leak.
Oh, looks very, very neat and nice. Very nice. Very good job.
Yeah. So so that's what we've been working on, and that will obviously go live for London. So we thought we'd start there, and then maybe jump into, if you are going to sell domain names, then kind of starting up, what you should do to get going on domains. So I think the key thing is that obviously I do this professionally for a living, so I earn my money from buying and selling domain names, whether it's wholesale or end users, and also buying and selling websites. So some of the things I've learned along the way is, irrespective of how you're starting, don't email out from a Gmail address or a Hotmail address or an Outlook address, right? Buy a domain name and then just go, like the page I've got up here. This is a free HTML one-page website. It's not the best website in the world, but literally you should be able to put this up in a day. It's free to download. You pop your name up or your company name and have links to your kind of social media profile. Yes. So when you're outbounding, you know, obviously I use Digital Candy, but it's really important to just get the setup correctly. So start with some kind of landing page that people can refer to. So that's really important to start with. The second thing in preparing to get ready is getting your social media accounts in order. So having a LinkedIn is imperative for domains, because people will generally trust you. The key thing with having your own landing page and a good LinkedIn profile is that you're trying to sell a domain for the most amount of money as possible. So you want to be as credible as possible and as trustworthy as possible. So if you're going out with a Gmail address, then it doesn't convey the right kind of message. You can do it, but you'll get higher results by using your own domain name and having just a basic landing page.
Yes.
So obviously on your LinkedIn's kind of key to what you're going to do. So it's really important. One of the kind of really cool tool, one of the best things about LinkedIn is on your bio, you can change that text. So for me, it says domain investor, and it lists all the top domains I own. But if you're...
Sorry, 1 second. Could you zoom in, please, a bit? That will lose the sidebars. Just maybe. Yes. Okay. No, that was a bit too much, but yes. Thank you.
Okay. So this is a really good tool. When you're promoting domains, you can change this profile. So one of the things about LinkedIn, and this is probably a tip from Barry Garner, who kind of, this is some of the tips you pick along the way, but the key thing is you change that tagline to the domain you're trying to sell. So when you're connecting with someone who owns a business or something, irrespective of whether they see the message or connect, they'll see your tagline. So it's a really good way when LinkedIn shows who's looked at you, they understand that you own the domain name. So it's really important to just get a nice setup, you know, a reasonable photo of yourself, a nice header image, and then, you know, a bit about yourself, and then obviously your kind of work history, what you're working on, and these kind of things. Because serious companies, if you're wanting to sell for good money, they'll check you out and they want to make sure you're legitimate. So it really helps build that trust. So, and it goes the same for having a Twitter account, an Instagram account, and a Facebook account.
And LinkedIn profile is the first thing that will pop up if set up properly. If somebody enters your name in Google, it will be the first thing that will pop up.
Absolutely. It's really important as well to build connections and grow that side of things. And people might look through your activity of posting and they've seen you've sold other domains or you're representing certain domains. So the key thing is to spend your time. It's super simple, but just get the basics right before you start trying to sell domains. So that's the first thing. Just set up
and those who are connecting just now, we will have 3 stages in this video, in this live stream. The first one is getting prepared, and now we are going through getting prepared stage. Yes.
So one of the things here is in getting prepared.
Can you zoom in, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so one of the things here is in getting prepared, it's really important that you gather the important information about the domain before you buy it. Okay. Or if you have it, to log this information. So from us and what we do, We'll log the domain name. We'll log the date when we acquired the domain. We'll log the purchase price. And then we'll put in the date of birth. So whenever we buy domains, we generally, this is slightly different in America, but we typically inherit all the rights for the domains back to whoever sold it to us. So if you're trying to sell a domain to someone and you can show that it was originally registered in 2003, it's a really good indicator of value and quality. So it's really important. Yes. The next three columns, they're really cool. Not many people know about them, but basically, obviously, you've got GoDaddy valuation. So that's what GoDaddy thinks the domain is worth. Now, one of the things that you'll hear is people say, well, is it Estibot? Is it saw.com? How do you value a domain? It kind of doesn't really matter. So long as you're consistent with all your domains and you use the same valuation tool, then you'll work out where you go. The cool part of this is that you get a GoDaddy suggested value. So what that means is what they typically think it will sell for based on all the data points they have. And the GDV percentage is what is the percentage chance of selling that domain in the next 12 months between the GoDaddy valuation and the GoDaddy suggested price. So when people talk about selling domain names, you're looking at maybe a 1 to 2% sell-through rate. But you'll notice there, for example, like Be Tough at 10%, that's a really good chance of selling that domain in the next 12 months for between 5,000 and 2,000. So that statistic is really valuable. And when you outbound, obviously, you're massively increasing your percentage chance of sales by contacting prospective buyers, because the general rule of 1 to 2% per year is for passive sales, just listing on a marketplace. So you'll notice there that the average across these domains, we've got thousands, but on this domain is 5.86%. So it's a very strong portfolio. The key thing here is when you're pulling the metrics, maybe don't buy the domain if the metrics are really low. The other things we gather, .db, which I'll show you in a second. So okay. .db.com is a tool for you pop the phrase in there and it will tell you what extensions the domain is registered in.
Fantastic.
So when you're outbounding a domain, if there's one potential end user, well, you need more than one because one is the .com. But if someone's sitting on a .net, a .org, a .io, there's an upgrade there because .com is the preferred extension. So, you know, on there, for example, Be Tough, there's 2 potential buyers for that one. So you could outbound it, you know. But by running these statistics, you'll work out what you should outbound, what you should prioritize versus what isn't, what you should put down the kind of the bottom end of the list.
Just one more thing, Ryan. One of the reasons why we are doing this live stream, I'm bringing in Matilda, who is 12, into domain names. She has listed domain names at Outbounding, at Dan, and at Cedar. And I told her today we are going to do a live stream, 8 o'clock, and Uncle Ryan. You've had a chat with Matilda. We'll tell everything. Just please watch and listen. So Matilda, if you are watching, hey. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the key thing about doing the research before you buy the domain or before you outbound is you've got all the information to hand, so then you can use it in the negotiation process. Okay, and based on the statistics, I know that these 6 domains will earn between $582 and $1,974 in the next year. Okay, based on the prices that I'm going to set.
Okay,
and that will go up as you outbound. So the key thing is doing the research. I'll pop through the tools in a minute. But the other thing that's worth doing before you get started is the Domain Academy course, to give you an understanding of how you value a domain and all the basics that are in place.
Yes.
As a rule of thumb, when you're valuing a domain, the most simple way of doing it is getting the GoDaddy valuation and times it by 3. If you don't want to do any other research, just get the GoDaddy valuation, times it by 3, and that's roughly the benchmark of where you'd want to sell to an end user at. The thing to know about .co.uk's and .uk's is that I work off a 10% valuation of what the .com's worth. So if you go to GoDaddy valuation, type in the .com version, times it by 3, and then divide it by 10, it will give you a rough idea. And if GoDaddy has a valuation above 25,000, that means that the domain's worth 6 figures for com. Based on their metrics, and then .co.uk equivalent will be 10% of the value. So you can also look at Dan.com or Afternic or Cedo and see what comparables are kind of selling. Yes. So that's the getting prepared part. So sort out your social media profile, sort out your landing page, and then do your research before you start. And then you've got all the data to hand when you're negotiating.
Okay.
So when you start outbounding, one of the key things is...
And before that, do you put them on marketplaces?
So when we're outbounding...
Yes.
So when we're outbounding, we put them on Bodis.
On Bodis, okay.
Okay. So we put them on Bodis because they've got a make offer form. It's free to use. The data that you get from Bodis is really good. You get a name, a phone number, and an IP address and an offer. It's super simple to bulk put loads of domains on Bodis.
Yes.
You can put them in a folder, so you can group them together. You can change the pricing off that folder rather than individually. So for outbounding, Bodis is great. And then if you get an inbound inquiry, you can look at the IP address and say, okay, this is in Africa, it's probably not a serious inquiry, or this is in America. And you can often use that to research to find out who the actual buyer is behind the inquiry.
Okay. Yes.
Which is really important to have that knowledge. So, one of the key things when you're outbounding is to understand that you're in a weaker position by outbounding. Okay, if someone comes to you to buy the domain, you're in a much stronger position to charge the fees you want.
Absolutely.
When you're outbounding, it's weaker. So it's really important to work out what the target price that you're trying to sell for, and what the floor price that you're willing to accept. Those two key metrics before you get started are really important. So yeah, as we mentioned, we use Bodis. So over the last year or so, I've run different tests on Dan.com, Afternic, and Cedo versus Bodis. One of the best things about Bodis is that you can negotiate even when you're outbounding. There may be an inquiry that comes in 3 months down the line, but you end up building a client bank, and then you kind of know where people are for price, and you can go back to them and say, where you're at, maybe we could lower our price, various things, but you're more in control than just having a buy now or a make offer on Dan. With Dan, you obviously don't get access to the data of the person you're negotiating with, so it's very hard. You either accept or reject the offer. So for outbounding, yeah, Bodis is the platform for us. The key thing as well before you get started is to work out what is how you want to present yourself. Okay, so if you put yourself as the owner, okay, then suddenly it's personal. When someone comes back and says, "Don't email me," or "What the price is," or "That's too expensive" and stuff, you can take it personally, which isn't a great thing to do. Whereas if you present yourself as a broker, you can say, "Look, I understand, but I'll speak to the owner and see if there's some negotiation on price. What level are you comfortable with? What's your kind of budget, and that kind of thing." So that's another thing, to position yourself as depending on what you want to be, either the owner or the broker. But a broker's easy because you've got more, you're acting as a third party, irrespective of whether you own the domain or not.
And then you can actually take client's side as well, buyer's side. You can say, "Hey, I'm on your side as well."
Yeah, and you can say,
yes, for the sales process, it really helps if a seller can take that position. Yes.
Exactly, and you can be acting on their side. Say, the seller's a bit, the price is a bit too high, but I think we can negotiate it down. Or or the buyer's looking for a quicker sale, so I can probably reduce the offer if you can complete in a timely manner. So it definitely helps that way for that side of things. One of the key things here is, which you might see sometimes people say, "Oh, use the domain, set up an email address on the domain, and email people, your potential targets, using that domain name."
Okay.
So you're trying to sell whatever it is, btough.com. So you set up info@btough.com and you email btough.net and say you're interested in the domain. That's a terrible idea.
Sorry?
That's a terrible idea. Do not use the domain emailing or anything. It would be the same as someone selling a Ferrari, right? And when you buy a Ferrari, you go to a dealership. There's no miles on the clock. Someone doesn't drive a Ferrari and park it outside your house to let you know that it's a Ferrari. So it's really important. Don't do that kind of tactic. That just doesn't work very well. And so jumping into the process of outbounding and how many emails you're expecting to send per day and what your conversion rates will be. Roughly, you should be aiming for 100 to 200 emails a day. And that might take you between 4 to 6 hours. So whether that's an email, a web form, or a social media contact, you need to be kind of aiming for your 100 to 200 a day. And then what happens is if you consistently do that for a period of time, then you've got your chasing up and that kind of thing. But essentially, if you send 1 to 200 per day, you can expect. So we've got Jed who started this week.
Sorry, Ryan, I'm trying to get a number. 1 to 100?
100 to 200
Oh,
emails
100
a day.
to 200 a day. Okay.
Okay. And you can expect one person to come back every 30 email and ask for the price.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. And then when 10 people have asked for the price, the chances are you're going to have sold the domain name. Okay. So you're probably looking at somewhere in the region of probably 300 to 500 emails to sell a domain.
Okay.
Okay. And on average, because it's quite it's an admin task, on average, that's probably going to take you 4 hours a day to commit to outbounding. So yeah, on the admin side, it takes a bit of work. So if we jump into GoDaddy Valuation, most people have seen it. So pop the domain in, it will give you a value. On the right-hand side, it will show you some comparable sales.
Okay.
But essentially, when I have that domain, I would price it at $45,000.
Okay, times 3, as you told before, yes.
And then for .co.uk, you might be around about 5,000, although we're currently negotiating estate.co.uk at 50,000. So some of this is, while GoDaddy is a good approximation, certain domains have way more value. And this is where the tool isn't perfect, but as a quick guide for a domain you've just bought, a 3x on GoDaddy is the thing, but there are outliers to that. But it's so one of the key things is getting the GoDaddy valuation. When you start the process then, so how you find the people to buy the domains, one of the key tools to use is .db.com. So you pop your domain in here. They've got a free plan. The benefits of a paid plan is you'll notice that when it matches targets, you can click the link and you can go through to the website without having to copy and paste the domain into a new tab. So start off with your domain in .db, pop it in there. You can see there's 68 exact matches and over 17,000 domains. So exact matches, they're kind of the domain in all the different extensions, and then you have variants of that. So 007 real estate, and it goes through. So when we're outbounding, we'll generally start at .db, and then we'll go through and we'll click each of the links. Okay, so that one's dead. That one's for sale. Okay, and then we come on our first target. So what we're looking for when we hit on a website is we're looking for any contact information. So when we send our first port of call, we'll go to the contact page, we'll send the web form, and then we'll try and scoop out the email address, send an email, and if there's any social media profiles, we'll go and send the same message. So on the contact us page, you can see they've got an email me here. I'm going to do that soon. But essentially, so on this particular one, you can't see it, but in the bottom left-hand corner, it's email me. It will open up my email program. And we always send the same first message. Okay, subject line is the domain.
Yes.
And then it's a very simple message that goes out, and it's, hi, we're representing the domain name ABC. We thought you'd be a good upgrade, a good opportunity for you to acquire this domain. Who would be the best person to speak to, and is it something you're interested in? So on day one, we will aim to send between 1 to 200 emails, a web form. Most websites have web forms, so we'll also send the same message, and then we'll have a scout around for any potential social media kind of channels. When we send the message, then we will log it in the spreadsheet. Okay, so pop the domain in there at the top. Then you've got a person column, a URL column, and a company. So when you go to whichever one the last one was, estateagent.org, we'll go in there, we'll pop the address in here so we can go back to it at a later stage, who the company is, and then whether it was an email, for example, there's an email there, or it's a web form, or we've picked up someone on social media. It's really important to log all that information, because then you'll do your kind of chases, which will go into like how often we chase an email, what kind of message we send. But the key thing is if you send 100 of these messages, you'll get 3 price inquiries. This is a pure admin job. There's no skill to it other than starting off with .db and working through potential targets and then contacting them saying the domain's for sale. Always the subject line, just the domain name, and then the message is very straightforward. We're representing the domain name, and we thought you might be interested. Who's the best person to speak to? So after we've exhausted the .db list, then what we'll do is we'll go into Google and we'll type in the domain name we're trying to sell. If you look for where there's a search icon, so the second result there, then it will do a Google search for it rather than going to the domain name. Okay, so once we work through .db, we'll then work through all the Google results that are potentially, let me see if I can zoom in.
Yes, if you could scroll in a bit, yes. Thank you. Oh, okay. Excellent. Thank you.
So then we'll work through the Google results, looking for kind of domains where it might be of interest. So for example, here, estate agent today, that would be a very good match. So we'll go to that website and we'll repeat the process. We'll go on to, we'll go to the contact page. Up here, you'll notice they've got, it's been zoomed out, you've got social media icons. So we'll go to all of those social media places and say, hey, we're selling domain names, something you're interested in. I'm just looking down the bottom, often the contact forms at the bottom.
Yep.
Wherever it's there. So we'll fill in the contact form. Generally, we'll go to the about page as well and see if we can see any of the decision makers within the company. Just trying to think if there's an about page. So if we can work out who the decision makers are, then we'll pop over to LinkedIn. And what we'll do on LinkedIn is whoever it is. Let's just go someone who I'm not connected with. Right, here we go. Robert Smith, whoever he is. So this is a bit of a tip on LinkedIn. If you don't have premium, go to connect and then add a note that says, hi, Rob, we're selling the domain name, paste the name in there. LinkedIn are quite canny, so sometimes you have to look around because it won't show the connect button. As you get more followers, you get more kind of rights, yes. But I'm under more. But the key thing is to connect and add the message saying, hey, look, we're selling the domain name, thought this might be of interest to you. So yeah, after we've done the web form, the email, we'll hit social media and then we'll go to LinkedIn. The other thing that we might do is Google the company, like estate agent today. And then, you know, again, the other thing we're trying to pick up is signals. When we look at a website, does this person have the kind of budget that we're trying to get from the potential sale?
Yes.
When you head over to LinkedIn, it's more apparent because how many followers they've got. 28,000 followers. They're a reasonably big company. Let's see, and then you can go to the people tab, and it lists
if they have employees. Yes.
Yeah, and then you can just go and connect with the key people there and say, hey, look, we're selling the domain. Who's the best person to speak to? So LinkedIn's a really good tool for that side of things. The other tool we use is Crunchbase.
Okay. Yes.
So loads of potential opportunities here. When you go into Crunchbase, it's quite cool because it shows company turnover if they're raising any money, so you can have a better indication of what you're trying to sell and who you're trying to sell to. So we'll always start with that initial message, which is essentially, hey, do you want to buy the domain name? If they don't come back, then on the third day, we'll chase and just say, look, I just wanted to check in and see if this was of interest to you. So day 1, initial message. Day 3, a chaser. Day 6, we'll chase again, just say, hey, I've not heard back. Is it something you might be interested in? Day 14, we go back and we say, look, we've compiled a shortlist. Is it something you potentially might be interested in? And then day 28, we go back and we say, look, we're finalizing things. We appreciate it might not be for you, but if you can bear us in mind for any domain names or websites you're looking to buy or sell, and we'd love to help you. Then we leave it for 90 days, and after 90 days, we'll touch base with them.
Okay, so instead of going for the kiss of death, you keep an open thing here. Say, okay, you show that you understand that they are not interested in the domain name, but you also mentioned that, hey, we are open for business if you need us. Exactly. And they have seen your emails several times, and so yes, you have also already established some connection.
Yeah, and as your LinkedIn profile builds, people will come to you and you'll be more trusted, and they might not particularly want that domain. They might have another idea, or they might recommend you to someone else. So it's definitely worth growing that network side of things. The key thing is not to over spam people, which is why we generally initially will try and hit it quite hard, and then we spread it out, and then we'll revisit it in 90 days. So that's the kind of basic way of how we find companies and how we get in touch and the kind of messages we send. The next part is essentially the negotiation. Okay, so 1 in 30 people that you contact will come back and say, what's the price? And they literally will come back with those words, what is the price? There's no, hi Ryan, how's your day been? Ryan, I'm interested, nothing. What is the price? Okay, so there's basically several different ways of doing it. But the second email that we send to a price request is, we go back and we say, okay, look, this is a premium domain name. It's been registered, so we use our spreadsheet since 2002. It might be a short domain. We'll go into Google AdWords and pull the search volume for the domain name. So if you look at estateagent.co.uk, on Google AdWords, you get the minimum number of searches in the UK and the maximum number of searches, and then you get the minimum price for advertising, the maximum. So we just go right down the middle. We say there's 500,000 people each month that search for the phrase estate agent. The cost of advertising is $3 per click. Okay, and then we extrapolate it out to say, okay, cool. If you have the domain, that's the best chance of being number one. So it's memorable, it's short, so you're going to get a much higher advertising ROI. And then we also notice how many on Google and .db, it will show you how many domains are registered. So for estate agency, there's 17,000 different companies running with the word estate agency there.
Yes.
So we try and build out those kind of metrics, and then also you can use comparable sales from name bio, which can or can't be helpful, but essentially you're just trying to look for comparable sales that you can go back and say, hey, look, we're looking for £10,000. Here's some comparable sales. Oh, what's there?
They keep changing them.
I always struggle with this. I'll click on the dog. Yeah.
What are they asking? Okay.
So if it's helpful, we'll show comparables and say, hey, look, this is the key point is the second email was an education process. Look, we're looking for this amount of money and this is why we're looking for it.
Yes. Okay.
And then they'll come back with whatever objection they may have. And in that third email, we'll try and grab them on a call and say, look, let's set up a call. We'll talk through the different options. And then once you engage with them, the best thing to do is get them on the phone, because you can really understand where their budgets are, what their expectations are. It might be a case that you go in, they say it's too high, and then you go, well, okay, cool. Well, the buyer's keen to sell, so it's something we can negotiate on. Where are you for price? Are you looking for a quick sell? And just remember that you've got sweeteners that you can add. So you can say, well, how about if I decide the payment over 10 months? The other thing we do is we say, look, if you, for this particular domain name, if you sign write a car, it's going to cost you £500, or to have an office location cost you X. To have a business development manager who's going to do the same kind of work as your domain name is going to cost you X amount per year. So there's quite a good ROI for them when you phase out over 5 years. It's pretty affordable. It's a good asset for them on their balance sheet. But that's kind of the negotiation process that we go through. And then there's kind of like level 2 outbounding, which is a bit more. One of the domains we've got is pizzadelivery.com. Okay. So outbound that, we'll go on Google and we'll say, right, who are the top 100 performing pizza companies? Come up with Domino's and Pizza Hut and all the different variants, and then we'll reach out to those people, the decision makers on LinkedIn and the companies directly, and say, hey, we're selling the domain. So it's more research. It takes much longer. And it kind of justifies when you're selling a domain for, say, 6 figures or something. It's worth putting that effort in.
Yes.
But for a lot of people, you can go through the domain outbounding quite quickly. And the 100 to 200 days just a guide, because if you're doing lots and lots of domains, then switching between the domains and stuff can just take more time. So you may not get those numbers. But that's kind of the basics of thing. And then what we do, which we've done with estate agencies, we paid an influencer on LinkedIn to promote the post. So someone had 20,000 LinkedIn followers.
Okay, go on. Haven't heard of it. Yes.
We paid her to promote the post, and she's also a member of 14 LinkedIn property groups. So one of the things you can do on LinkedIn if you're outbounding is also look for.
Wow, that's an interesting thought. Yes.
Yeah, so you can look for groups. And you can go in and join the group and then promote the domain name. So we had an influencer promote it. It went out to in front of 850,000 people, members on LinkedIn with the domain. And then a few people contacted us in bits and bobs. The other thing we're doing with estate agencies, we're going to pay for an email marketing campaign from estate agency today who are on the site. So what we'll do is we'll pay them. They've got 16,000 registered estate agents. We'll pay them to send an email that says, hey, here's a list of domains that are in the estate agency vertical. So we'll pay them to promote that. They'll then write a post that explains the benefits of a premium domain name, take some advertising on there, which is good for Brandable.
Yes.
And these are the kind of things, you know, if you've got a domain and you think it's worth £50,000, then you have to work out whether you believe that putting some money behind it could really help you get that sale. And that's something that not many people do. It's often outbounding is the admin process of doing it. So we're having some success. We're probably going to launch that campaign in the next week or so to do the email. And then remember as well, if you do some paid marketing, it's not always about Google Ads and that kind of thing. There's real people, especially in London, to connect with in the estate agency vertical.
Yes.
So some of this is about the quality of the domain you're trying to promote, but getting into these groups is a great way of outbounding that not many people will talk about. And it's potentially similar to Facebook. There's a lot of Facebook groups for property developers, estate agents, domain names. But generally, when we're promoting a domain, we'll put it out on social media as well. Key thing is just to get it out there in front of as many people as possible, using these kind of tips and tricks, most of which are free.
This is awesome. Is that the whole spiel?
I think,
but nobody really does it. Not nobody, but quite few people do it.
Probably one of the biggest tips.
Most domainers just sit down and don't do anything. They can't draft an email.
It's really important to log your information, and then if you're acting as a broker on behalf of other people, the most important thing is regular feedback to your clients every 2 weeks or once a month to say, hey, we reached out to 50 people, we reached out to 100 people, we've had one price inquiry. And then generally, so we will go out with a report that says we reached out to 200 people. We'll also include the data in case they want it. And then, by the way, there's a paid opportunity. So if we because part of this is when you're doing the research for outbound is you might, like the estate website, you come across a thing, and then we go to them and say, look, there's an opportunity here for some paid advertising. If you're happy to put the money or some contribution towards it, then we'll push out in that vertical. But as a broker, feedback to your clients, tell them how many emails you've sent, show them the data. Just once a month, very simple report is really important. Keep people in touch. Because the biggest frustration point is you've got a domain name and you don't know what's being done on it. And then all of a sudden, obviously the key's in selling it. But, you know, at the end of the day, you want to know what's going on.
Absolutely. It is one of the problems of subcontractors, especially the young subcontractors who take the jobs and bigger jobs, time-consuming jobs, and then they do not understand the necessity of providing regular reports.
Yeah. It's
because
key.
Because on the other side, the person sits and just waits and doesn't understand what is going on. Is there anything going on? And if you start getting those reports regularly, let us say on Fridays, hey, the week has been over, is complete. I've done this, that has been done, that has been done. Here are ideas on this and that. And then he says, okay, now I understand that person is breaking. He's trying to solve. He's trying to solve my problem. Yes.
And that's where, like, I think in terms of broker fees, what people charge. So roughly, it's about 15% is what people charge on the .coms. The ultra premiums, it's around about 15%.
Yes.
There are people like MrPremium.com. I think he's at 25%.
Okay.
But some of the bigger brokers, they rely on a big amount of domain names, and they're kind of on percentages they'll sell because they've got such a large volume. And then, you know, if you are brokering and doing outbounding, then you might want to tie your client into an exclusive agreement for a period of time, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is, to give you a fair chance that if someone comes back, because the negotiation process can go on for 3 to 6 months.
That's fantastic. And how do you close the deal? Okay, the client says, okay, let's negotiate. So let's agree on the price. This is, we go here and there. Okay, 42,000. And what next?
Yeah, so for us, we will offer either pay direct on invoice, because we've got the limited company, we've got the address, we've got a bit of a track record. So we'll offer them to pay direct by invoice, or we can use escrow.com.
Okay, and you don't use Cedo, no other services, just escrow.com.
Just escrow.com. Yeah. There's a bit, sometimes you have to go through an education process with them, because escrow.com are a third party. They're kind of trusted. We give them the domain, give them the money, they transfer it over, they make sure it's all fine. Typically, one of the things you can do when you're outbounding, if someone comes back and says, what's the price? And you tell them, you could go to Dan and import it as a lead, and Dan will send them the email saying, hey, buy the domain now. That's something that some people do, kind of preemptively strike the moment someone asks for a price.
Yes.
You just load it in as a lead, and then Dan will, you have to be careful. I don't know how Dan like it if you're a bit speculative. Some people do that.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. And now if you have questions, now it is time to ask your questions. There are no dumb questions. Yes, they're just things unknown that you would like to know. So please ask your questions, and if there are questions, then Ryan will answer them. So, and how many domain names are you currently outbounding?
So we've got Jed, who started this week. So Jed's doing his training, and he's outbounding around about, let me have a quick look. He's got 160 domains to work through, and he's doing around about 20. Well, a person can do about 20 domains per day. Some of the domains might only have 3 or 4 potential opportunities, but generally we're going through 20 per person per day. So maybe on total, maybe 50.
So 4 emails a day per domain name.
It depends on the domain. Some of them have hundreds of contact points. As a rule of thumb, say 5 to 10 potentials. We'll go through 20 domains per person per day.
Okay, and when you say 100 to 200 messages a day, does it include messages on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and the others? Or so you would fill in the contact form: 1, LinkedIn; 2, Twitter; 3, Facebook page; 4. Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So if I'm outbounding, I typically do 500 contact points a day across the domains, but it depends how you're jumping around.
Awesome seeing Joe. Joe is #1 person who was asking for this conversation. So Joe, and thank you for personally me reminding. She really wanted to know how you, Ryan, do outbounding. So here's the question: when you are outbounding, how do you manage your email address to stop it being seen as spam and the hosting company not happy?
Yeah. So one is we'll use our company domain name, and 2 is we use Microsoft Office 365 for our emails, and generally that kind of works for us. Okay. So you use a premium provider for your email and use a custom domain name.
Okay. And Joe, if I may answer, there are tools. There is mail-tester.com. You can check the quality of your emails. Maybe there are technical details that need to be sorted out. If you need those, if you need help with that, I'll help you out. So basically, there are DNS records you can add to your domain name that will improve deliverability of your email name. And then if the emails, as Ryan explained, all the leads he's sending his emails are closely related. They understand that it relates to them. He's not just sending to everybody. Then it's things
like the subject line. We only put the domain name in there. You know, you don't want to have on the subject line domain name liquidation pricing or anything that might trigger a kind of spam filter. And that goes for the message that you're sending as well within the body. If there's lots of links and that kind of thing, it's not necessarily a good thing to be sending.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. How do you research 2-letter, 3-letter .co.uk and .uk names?
So take something like I outbounded h.co.uk in UK. So that would be, I will go onto Google and research top 500 companies with the letter H. So Harrods.
If it was HC?
Then I would have to look up, I would have to go onto Google and look up what kind of potential acronyms. So you can look up company acronyms, or companies beginning with 2-word companies beginning with H and C, and then you generally come across that kind of information. It's much harder to outbound to the shorter domains. It's much harder. But again, going to .db, it will list all the different extensions on there, which really helps as well. But it's time consuming. You need to do some research about what companies use the acronym, whatever it might be, and generally even big companies will have some content on this site with an abbreviated version.
So, and in total, how many domain names are in your portfolio plus you are selling for your clients? Around. So domains for sale.
Yeah, so 6,000 comms, I think about 15,000 .co.uk's, and then extended portfolios.
6,000 comms, and then
15,000 .co.uk's, and then in terms of client portfolios, maybe that I'm selling in portfolio bulk, maybe just trying to think, maybe 20 to 50,000.
And then 20 to 50 for clients.
Yeah.
And you said that one employee can do how many? 20 domains.
20 domains a day.
20 domains a day.
Yeah.
How many employees do you need then?
Well, it depends. I mean, so where I'm going to, it's more about getting the number of comms up to 20,000.
Yes.
And then just inbound. We may scale the outbounding side of things, but yeah, you're going to need 100 people or something realistically to burn through all of those. But that's doable because we have a process now. We're refining it. There's some automation with email automation that we're just about to implement, whereby the day 1, day 3, day 6 chase is all done for us. You just load the system, and having a bulk people where you don't have to train them how to sell or negotiate. You just train them how to do the admin function, and then when an inquiry says, "What's the price?" someone will be waiting there going, "Oh, a dream job." But yeah, potentially it's very hard to do it on scale, but it is possible. It is possible. But remember that for a lot of brokers, they'll only outbound the high-end names. All the premium brokers, they're working on kind of 6-figure domains and that kind of thing. Yes. Typically it warrants the time, and it's specialized, and it takes time, like researching the 2-words, the 2-letter company acronyms and stuff takes time. You can get LinkedIn premium. So you get Sales Navigator, so you can go in there and it'll give you an email database of all the potential people to email. But yeah, there's only so many you can do. I think, but you have to filter down the opportunity as well, which using .db, how many potential buyers are there for it?
Okay, Joe is asking, which email automation are you using, Ryan? There's quite a few of them.
At the moment, we're just using Outlook, and we're manually sending everything. But there's 2 or 3 programs I'm looking into that will daisy chain it for you, and something like HubSpot as well is a potential we're looking at. So HubSpot's worth looking at. But there are 2 or 3 other.
I'm testing now Claudura.ai. Claudura.ai. The deal is available at AppSumo, and for $49 you can get. Yes, I'm testing it, and good results, very, very good results. So I paid $49. Prepared the list really, really carefully with the owners of IT companies living in London. And then I did send them an invitation to London Domain Summit, and emails and connected emails to my Gmail account. And the lead quality was really, really good, really, really good. But you would need to research it. Cloudura, I think, as not cloud, but SLO. Yes. Okay. Here you go. Do you use any scraping tools to send bulk emails out?
No. There's like hunter.io and various bits that you can plug into LinkedIn, but no,
Yes.
the key point here is that it's very manual, because you need to understand, you want to send the right message to the right people. So no, we don't use any scraping tools, and it's unlikely that we'll automate the outbound process in any way other than once the data's gathered, the email automation.
Yes. And plus email is sent, and then you are leaving marks in your, you're making records. And then I remember several live streams ago, you mentioned that you use Monday.com. Do you still use it?
We've switched to spreadsheets because it's just easier to list it. So no, yeah, we switched from Monday to email, but then now we're looking at HubSpot. I mean, potentially we're looking at Salesforce, which can accomplish a lot of what we're going to do. We run Salesforce in our finance company. GoDaddy and Afternic run Salesforce. It's just quite a considerable investment.
Yes, it is not cheap.
And then licensing fee. I think a license for Salesforce is £140 a month, and then the build is going to be at least £25,000. I would have thought, to do some of the marketing automation. It's very expensive.
Yes.
Used by big companies, so maybe HubSpot's the kind of sweet one for us.
Absolutely. I've tried using HubSpot for so many times, and just doesn't click with me.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. I think the email automation software is good. I mean, just touching on Joe's thing about scraping.
Yes.
You LinkedIn Sales Navigator, where you can go in there and it will produce a list of all the potential people that you should email. You can also buy email databases rather than scraping, and then do a kind of mail merge. We often do mail merges using Word, so we have control over it, which is worth looking at. Again, it comes down to budget when you're buying a database and stuff like that.
Fantastic. Ryan, thank you. And once again, so you are launching Brandable.uk, yes?
Yeah, the new site's going to be on Brandable.uk.
And do you own .co.uk as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The current site's on .co.uk, but we're switching to the .uk for launch.
Okay.
So yeah, we've got both the .co.uk and the .uk.
And why people should check it? Apart from very nice design.
Why should people check it?
Why should people
if you're selling a premium domain name, you want it to be around other premium domain names. Okay, one of the hard things about launching your own website or marketplace is the brand exposure, its trustworthiness, its credibility, the things that go in the background, like Stripe integration. We've got a way whereby people can't do a chargeback. So yeah, it's a purpose-built platform specifically for .co.uk's and UK domain names.
Okay.
So we think it's going to do really well for that, and we've spent a lot of time on designing stuff to build trust and authority and essentially increase the sales value of .co.uk. And when you go on there and you search for a domain name estate agent, it will only show .co.uk and .uk. They're not going to be on page 2 or page 5. They're going to be front and center. With all the payment options, the integrated messaging and chat. So we're excited to see what happens with that one.
And chat as well. Okay, awesome. And so you offer can people now go and list their domains now?
No.
So, no. Not yet. No. So no. Probably at the London Domain Summit, you can announce the launch.
Yeah.
Then we need a party for that.
Absolutely. We've got to have a launch party. Yeah, it'd be good. It's been a lot of work, so we'll see.
Now Helmut is selling something. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan, thank you. Such a pleasure and awesome. Really, really valuable information. And the best way to contact you?
You can email me, Ryan@digitalcandy.uk.
Fantastic.
If you want me, or LinkedIn, whichever is easier. Or hover around Acorn Domains, and I will be in there somewhere, I dare say.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you. And of course, see you all at London Domain Summit. You might watch these videos and you might think, hey, I've seen Ryan so many times. I've seen Sam so many times. I've seen Helmut so many times. Hey, I know you guys. Sorry, we don't know you. There's a huge difference. Please come, introduce yourselves, and do not come for just one day. At least it is quite a law with convention. Yes, it takes more than one day to create that personal connection with a person.
Yeah, I mean, if you're coming to London, you may as well do both days and spend the night, because a lot of stuff will, it'll be drinks in the evening, socializing. That's where kind of a lot of the business will be done. During the conferences and stuff, people will be talking and stuff. But yeah, no, I think if you're going to make the effort to come to London, then you may as well come for both days and have a night out.
And this is a domain name event like Europe hasn't seen for a long time. I really hope to create one. And I can proudly say that we are finalizing the conversations with one of the leading companies from the Web3 domains as well. Once they confirm, we'll have Web3 domains as well, and we'll have this full spiel. Everything is there. Please come register London Domain Summit while the free tickets are still available. Business passes are £50 only. Almost no conferences of such level with C-level operatives or owners and founders. Nobody has £50 price range for business passes, and the business pass grants you access to the party on the first day, subject to availability, of course. There is a limited amount of people, how many we can let in, 120 only. Thank you all. Oh, and question to you. Do you offer broker services? 20 to 50,000 of domains are, yes.
Yeah, we do. And if we can't help ourselves, and there's other people that we can put you in touch with. There's only so much capacity we can handle at the moment, but yeah, we do. estateagent.co.uk, that's a broker thing. Jeff asked me to do it for someone he knows. So yeah, we do broker services. Yeah, just reach out to me and we'll see where we can go.
Fantastic. Thank you all, and have a good night. Bye. Thank you, Ryan.
See you later.